All right, everybody, welcome to the LG Hockey Hotline show. No V High this week. We're going with the I guess you could say a makeshift D pair.
Yeah, there you go.
Miranda Conde
Makeshift
and Chris
pair.
Chuck here. No V High. We're here at LG Hockey Hotline show. Getting closer to the end of the year, 1 week after the deadline. How you doing, Moran?
Doing good, man. We're past week 7 here, and season, believe it or not, only has 2 weeks left in the regular season, which blows my mind. I mean, here we are going almost into the playoffs, man. It's pretty crazy.
It really is. I mean, I think it's been a successful season overall. Obviously, we've had some weird things here and there, but I think overall, when you look at the entire health of the league, the LGHL on PSN, I think we're doing pretty good.
I think we're doing really good. It's kind of, like we, had heard, and a lot of people had said, eventually the league's going to weed out the bad seeds, I guess, or get, and it's going to settle in. And I think we're settling in nicely here, coming up on the end of season 3. We have some really competitive teams at the top. The more than half the league, I think, is really competitive. You still have those few teams down there that are just kind of struggling to find consistency, I would say. Definitely we were obviously taking over one of those teams that was struggling to find that, and hopefully we found that where we're at, and then hopefully some of the other teams that have been struggling for that same thing can settle in here as we finish up on season 3 and push on forward into the future. But back to this season, we're just finishing up week 7 in the standings. I mean, not much has changed. You still got your perennial teams that have been there all season, just basically jostling for position at this point in time. Everybody's kind of, you see a team drop down or move up 1 or 2 spots, but for the most part, it doesn't seem like anybody's really made a charge to kind of cut a groove out for themselves and get themselves into the playoff conversation. It looks like it's about a 10-point gap between the last wild card spot in the East and right around 3 to 4 points in the West. So a little bit tighter over in the West, and the East seems to be kind of shaping up to be what it's going to be here coming into week 8.
And you mentioned too that you found it. You noticed that not a lot of teams have made a charge to get into the playoffs. Well, one thing I noticed was one team has made a charge to pull away from the rest of the crowd, and that's the Anaheim Ducks.
Oh man,
they've won 12 games in a row. Already hit the 100-point mark with 18 games to go in the season or so. They're far and away the best team in the league right at the moment. Offense, defense, of course, goaltending with Schneider and net. That team is that's the measuring stick right now in the LGHL.
Absolutely. I think they have, and you mentioned it, they have the complete game. They're good from top to bottom. They're good in all phases of the game, whether it's special teams, in their own end, in the offensive zone. They're just the complete package right now. And, they're coming out of the Western Conference too. So, I mean, the Western Conference is pretty strong, and they're posting over 100 points already going with 2 weeks left to go in the season. So that tells you that they're just rolling and firing on all cylinders right now, and they can basically do no wrong.
and to me, it's cool to see. I think I like to see that team that is far and away the favorite, that really has to show up in the playoffs and prove to everybody else why they were the best team in the regular season. Now, they're not alone necessarily in the fact that the West Central has 2 teams in Dallas and Chicago that are relatively close. Dallas only 9 points back, but again, you think Anaheim's the best team. They haven't scored nearly as many goals as Dallas, but it's that back end play, that defense, that back checking, that goaltending that's really pulling Anaheim away from the rest. And when you compare the West to the East, just looking at the point totals in general, 85 points tops the East with 3 teams, and you're looking at 92, 89, and 101 over in the West. But as you look further into the divisions, it looks like the West might be a little weaker, maybe, as you see more teams. It seems like with lower point totals.
It's that's one of those age-old debates that people have been having for eons. Who knows at this point, but yeah, you're right. Some of the teams at the bottom in the East are or in the West, excuse me, they've kind of fallen off, and it's basically impossible to compare the two, but it's a super great discussion. I like talking about it because it's you got one view from the Eastern Conference and another from the West, and each of them are probably going to be like, oh, no way, it's way harder over in our conference. But when you really sit down, that's why we play the playoffs. We'll find out the answer to that question, as I don't believe the Western Conference has brought home a Stanley Cup yet. So we'll kind of see where it goes.
Yeah, and if I'm a betting man, I think this might be the year you go towards that Western Conference looking at it. But we know Pittsburgh's good. We know Columbus is good. We know Boston's good. And Florida, a team from what I can remember, we usually don't mention Florida that much. The big three in the East are Boston, Pittsburgh, and Columbus to everybody's knowledge. And then you look and Florida's right there, tied atop the lead in the East.
They absolutely are. And they're one of those teams that, us, as a team here, we've kind of been keeping our eye on them the last few weeks here. As we were talking about them last week, I believe, maybe the week before, excuse me, how they've kind of made just like this slow, kind of like Ottawa did there in the middle of the, in the meat of the season. They've just kind of made this sneaky, consistent push, and they've gotten themselves right up in there with the top teams in the Eastern Conference. And, they're definitely in the conversation, putting in a 41-19-3 record on the season. They have two guys on their entire team that are in the minus and the plus minus, so they're just getting it done from top to bottom on Florida. And, we'll see if they can make it past the first round. That's kind of been one of their curses, I guess you'd say, in the LGHL so far, is that they've put together some outstanding regular seasons. And once they get to the playoffs, they just kind of, I don't know what happens, or, I'm pretty sure that they've been ousted in the first round both seasons here. So we'll see if Florida can continue their consistent pace and see if they can't get past that first round monkey on their back this year.
And before we move on to whatever we got coming up next, one thing we got to touch on, that West Central. We made a big emphasis on it last week, but looking at that race, 3rd to 7th, it's still relatively close. But one thing you notice, Colorado, they really shot themselves in the foot towards the end of that week, losing 6 games in a row. Again, they're only 9 points out, which at this late point in the season, that is a lot. It really is a lot, 9 points. So we'll see if they're able to turn around. Obviously, they have been very active, making trades, and the deadline passed, and they seemed happy with the team they had. But losing 6 in a row, that's not something you need, especially right now. So it'll be interesting how that West Central ends up finishing out with that 3rd through 7th seed.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. It's Beefy had mentioned that, or Counterattack, excuse me, had mentioned that he was kind of I don't know, his hand was forced a little bit, maybe, for lack of a better term, to kind of make a couple of moves that he didn't really want to make towards the end of week 6 there, coming up on the deadline. So we'll see if they can continue to turn it around here. They had a bad stretch, but they're a good team. They've definitely pulled themselves out of the dumpster fire that was the Colorado Avalanche to begin the season. And my hat's off to them as it stands right now. My hat's off to them. They could have been just completely irrelevant all season, and they could have sat down at the bottom, but they didn't give up. They kept grinding, and they've got themselves back within spitting distance here of the the 3rd and 4th position in their conference. So they could put together a huge run here and get some help. You never know, but yeah, it's unfortunate to see them lose 6 in a row to close out the week.
It is, because and again, the race is still alive. I think now it's more dwindled down to a 4-team race, unless Colorado can really turn something around. I think it's certainly reasonable to expect them to be able to get up to 5th place, bare minimum, if they go on a run. But, and you kind of don't think of it this way, but it's 9 points. Oh, yeah, it's 4 wins and an overtime loss.
Right.
That's correct. But that also means St. Louis is still playing games. Winnipeg is still playing games. Minnesota, they're still playing games. They're still going to win games.
Yeah,
so unless the entire, exactly. So unless the entire West Central loses every game this week, 9 points is a lot for Colorado to make up. So we'll see. I mean, that the team seems confident. Counterattack, like you said, came on last week. He seems confident in his team, despite what he had to do to make some trades. But I think the biggest story right now and heading on the next couple of weeks is that West Central division, because that race is so close.
For sure. We'll see what they can do, coming up this week. And this week is the time for them to put together a run. They are playing the Eastern Atlantic Division this week, and there's some teams down towards the bottom, namely Detroit, that is on a 25-game losing streak now. So, it almost seems like those are point grabs against teams at that point, which is super disappointing to see. You never want to see that.
No.
It just sucks the way that shook out this year. Hopefully they can get a better crack at it next year. But so there's definitely points to be had, but, on the other side of the coin, just like you said, all the other teams in their division are playing the Eastern Atlantic as well. So, unless some teams really throw out some turds of nights out there and lose some games that they shouldn't lose, it's going to be really tough to gain ground. But I do believe that they finish out, and I'm pretty sure every single division finishes out the season, and I'm about to check on it here,
playing their own
division. So, they could gain a little bit of ground this week, and then, make or break next week. It's all division games except for 2. So they can gain some ground in week 9 and make a push. Stranger things have happened.
And that's what it'll all come down to. That'll be very exciting to watch. Be it playing in LG, you get to a point, you'll play your games. You might watch a couple others if you have buddies in different games or whatnot. But I can't say I've sat down and watched a ton of games from LG this year, start to finish. I think come that last week when you see some of the matchups, especially over the importance of playoff spots, I think those are some games that a lot of people will be actually taking the time to watch and really enjoying, because you're going to see some great matchups, whether it's fighting for the first seed with teams like Pittsburgh and Columbus, or battling for that A seed like in that West Central, or the close race in general in the West that they have between whatever seeding it may be. That AC, like I said, with the Jets, the Wild, the Predators, the Kings. There'll certainly be a ton of games to actually really enjoy and watch.
That's a great point. Week 9 is going to be extremely good, and it's going to be high drama. Teams are really going to be fighting for their playoff lives in that last week. And, it's a super important week for basically every single team in the league. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe, a team like the Wild or the Predators, maybe sneak up into that 8th spot. You never know. Stranger things could happen. The Hurricanes, maybe, we'll see what happens there. They do play, they're chasing 71. They're 10 points out of it. So, but that last week, if they put a run together in that last week against their own division, maybe they could catch the Devils. The Devils are sitting at 71 points along with the Lightning. So, stranger things have happened. You're right. There's going to be some outstanding games come week 9.
So no VHI this week. And he usually is the master of the schedule. So it's sort of a freestyle week, maybe, I guess we could call it. What do you want to hit on next?
Well, I guess the main thing we got to hit on next, I think, is the week 8 news and info that was sent out. Did you get that alert, Goose? I just want to make sure that I'm pretty sure everybody in the league got it. It was from McDonald.
Probably did. I'll have to look.
Came out yesterday at about 7:30 p.m. But basically what it is it just came out, and it has basically the playoff rules. And, we had a fairly big personality, I guess, in our league, lose his position this week for doing some bizarre stuff. You know, uh, for those who don't know, DDW um, was Devin was removed from the league for doing stuff that just doesn't. It's bizarre to me as to why you would go to such lengths to adjust stats. Like, um, you know, it's just. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you know kind of the whole story there? I mean, do you kind of know why he was banned? Did you see that?
No, I knew he was banned, yeah, and I did hear just through whatever it might have been the shout box or Skype chats that it was for stat padding, and I don't think that's necessarily something too crazy. Like it's not too uncommon, but it's still like you said, it's kind of bizarre that it's that big of a problem. Now we went through it last year in Rockford with J Claus, and that was something that it didn't make a lot of sense, and even he can admit that. I don't know Devin to talk to him about it or to joke with him about it or ask him, but to Claus it was something, it was just a stupid mistake. With Devin, it was a risky one because he was big on the Xbox side and the PlayStation side, and really up there in points. I think he was top 10 in points. He was really helping Dallas make a run for the playoffs. So it's definitely it's definitely odd. It definitely sucks from the league's standpoint, losing one of their top guys, because that just it's kind of a black eye on the league. But
Yeah.
again, it's something that happens. It's things like this are always going to happen, especially in an online virtual league. It's a lot different. So from my point of view, I don't know exactly what happened, but all in all, it just sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's with Claus, it was a couple. I think it was like 5 assists,
6
something
assists.
like that. 6 assists.
I'll never forget that. Nobody.
and Claus would be the first one to tell you that he was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I effed up. My bad." But this is like 20 plus cases of changing stats and outcomes of games and like just like weird stuff. Me personally, I would never in a million years change stats because I'm a huge stats guy. Like I love to see the stats on the site and know that they're right. Especially for every player that is in a game that we play. I double and triple check the stats for both teams. When I'm doing stats and make sure that they're all correct to the best of my ability. Now sometimes you may overlook something like a plus minus or a hit, but you try to get them as best you can and get the major ones. But that's just crazy that it would go to that extent to go through there and change that many. So it's unfortunate that he's gone for 6 months with no buyout.
And maybe that's maybe it's a different mindset. I mean, I've never I can't say I've ever been a top player in the league by any mean, and I can't say I've been battling for point titles or anything like that. So maybe it's a different mindset. You kind of get carried away with it. It's something that it's like you steal one piece of candy from the store, and then you steal 2, and then you steal 3, and next thing you know, you're trying to walk out with the entire store. So I'd imagine it's just something like that. But
shit.
Yeah, and it's just it's kind of it's disappointing. It's a pet peeve, I guess you could say. It's just annoying, but it's gonna happen. And I don't know Devin. I'm sure it doesn't mean he's a jackass or anything.
Right.
But it's just something that happens, and you kind of got to deal with it. The biggest hit is Dallas. I mean, they lost one of their top scorers, and whoever the hell lost them on the Xbox side. I don't pay attention to the Xbox side, so I don't know. But that's the teams are really the ones that lose from that more than anybody.
Yeah, without a doubt. That's unfortunate because Dallas was really on a tear. They were crushing it for the last couple of weeks, just dominating teams, and it puts them in a bad spot. Now they got to go out and do it without one of their top performers. And I mean, Dallas has got an extremely solid team, top to bottom. So I think they'll be fine, but that's a big time big time player that they're going to have to replace here in the extreme near future.
Yeah, it's certainly not impossible for them to make a run, but when you look at it, losing Devin and you compare what the rest of the Western Conference is, they might be able to sneak by some of the 7th and 8th seeds depending on where they match up in the final standings. Obviously, battling Chicago is going to be big with who they end up facing in the playoffs, but they might be able to get out of round 1, round 2, but it's when you come down to facing Chicago or facing Anaheim. Those are your two big tests. Those are your biggest rivals in that West. And losing a player like Devin, he's not irreplaceable, but right now, after the trade deadline, you're pretty close. You got to hope somebody in that AHL or somebody on your 3rd or 4th line is ready to get going and can fit in his spot and produce, hopefully at the rate that he could if Dallas hopes to really make a run deep in the playoffs.
For sure. Yeah, we'll see if he, I'm sure they got somebody waiting in the wings down in Texas. It's just, but with the way that it's set up right now, they might have somebody down there waiting in the wings in Texas. It's an outstanding player, but he could be a prospect. And then,
right.
Right. If they got a prospect sitting down there, just waiting to go, then there's nothing that they can really do.
Exactly.
But, we'll see where it goes from here for Dallas. And, I'm sure they'll be fine, but it's a big loss to the league. It's unfortunate to see. Some other things, this is kind of the house cleaning section of the show. Some other things that were in that message as well were the, just a refresher on the updated playoff rules. I think they changed a few things here and there, but not much. There was also a thing on there. I don't know if you've seen this yet, Goose, or not, but the frozen goalie glitch. Have you seen that?
I have not.
Oh my God. Basically what happens is that this happened to us in a game the other night, and we just iced the puck just to, because it's bullshit. Like the goalie basically freezes in like a butterfly and just starts sliding up the ice, and he'll keep sliding, get to the blue line, and then whistle penalty for.
What? No, that did happen. Yes, that did happen in one of our games. Because I was telling everyone to score. I think it was against Montreal. I was like, shoot the puck on net. The goalie's not in net and he can't move. And then it ended up going to a penalty before we could get to it. But now that you mention that, I'm pretty sure it happened against Montreal, or one of the games I played in at least, because the goalie, he slid all the way to center ice, and our goalie was like, yeah, he wanted to fight me. And I was like, I don't think he had a choice.
Right. Yeah, totally. That's the goalie glitch.
That's ridiculous.
We've had it happen to us twice in games, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, honestly, in rules of fair play, and they're talking about this in the between the Bogs and everybody. I mean, I would suggest to people, and obviously you don't have to listen to me, but I would suggest to people in the rule of fair play, if you see that happening, get to center ice and get it out of play. Nobody wants to score that goal and have that, especially if it happens in the playoffs or something. I'm sure there's going to be a procedure coming down the road here very, very soon. It's going to be basically that. If you see that happening to either team's goalie, you got to take the puck to center ice and flip it out of play so it resets and gets back to the goalie. Yeah.
And that's the thing too. You wonder how often this is going to happen, and you hope it doesn't happen often, because it could come down to, a key moment of the playoffs. Someone could score a goal and the goalie could be like, yeah, I was frozen. I just didn't get out that far. And then it could cause a whole huge other thing.
Turd. Yeah.
Right. So that's why you hope, if it does happen, the goalie's all the way out to the blue line when you realize it. So if somebody scores, you can, but so hopefully that doesn't get that extreme, but something this annoying of a patch. I wish I was confident in saying that EA would fix it right away because of how ridiculous it is. But I would guess, based off of my, the studies I've done in the past, that by NHL 27, I think we will have a permanent fix for the freezing goalie glitch.
Yeah, for sure. It's just insane to me how there can still be stuff like that in the game. We're in 2016, about to be 2017.
And stuff like that's going to happen in the first week of a game, and it'll be patched an hour later.
Right.
In every other company.
For games that they care about.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, I think NHL 17 as a whole, not to go off too much of a tangent, I think on a whole, it's not too bad of a game. But it's just, yeah, the lack of real live support where if there's a game-breaking glitch, we don't have to wait 3 weeks to get the Challenge Club lobby fixed,
Right.
or we don't have to wait a month and a half for, whatever it may be. But we just kind of all got used to it, and it's just, you love hockey enough to deal with all the crap you have to deal with just to play a video game of it.
Yeah. I think the thing that disappoints me the most is that, I love hockey. I live and breathe it. I watch it daily. Every night I'm watching regular games. I'm watching LG games. I deal with this basically all day, every day. Hockey's on my mind. So to see something that I love so much, to see somebody not give a shit about it when they go through the effort to put the damn game out, and it could be so good. I mean, it's right on the cusp every year of being just outstanding, when if they would just have a little bit of a give a fuck about it,
Exactly, pretty much, yeah. The one thing they're missing out of their secret formula to make the perfect game is just they got to give a little more of a fuck.
Right, man. It's frustrating. It's super frustrating, and I know probably a lot of people out there feel the same way. It just sucks.
and it sucks in another way too, because the competition factor. Obviously, there's no other competition for hockey games. But you go back to NHL 10 and NHL 2K10, the last real year of competition, NHL 10 blew 2K out of the water, in my opinion. Yeah. I played both games. I love playing 2K10, but it's sort of that arcadey, oh, this is really fun. The puck's still the size of a Frisbee. Yeah. And it's not really that realistic, but it's fun. It's a fun game. The franchise mode is fun because 2K really nails everything outside of the gameplay in that sense. But when you compared them when they're really at the height of battling, NHL 10 blew 2K out of the water. And now that there's no competition, it's just going to happen. And you grow to expect it, but no matter what, you're going to hope, man, someday. Even, bring back friggin' Gretzky hockey, NHL 06, whatever. That was the last one. I think they bring that back for a year, see what happens. Yeah, competition of some sort.
I mean, I agree. NHL 10 was an amazing game. Yeah. That was the year. Let's see, that was about 6 years ago. Yeah, that was the year that I actually I had torn up my ankle really bad. Grade 4 double ankle sprain, high and low.
That's horrific.
Like the worst you could do. Yeah. And it was the double whammy. So I was up, on crutches, couldn't walk for 4 months, and it happened on Labor Day weekend in September. So I did it, and the game came out 3 days later. So I was literally just holed up in my apartment at the time, just eating Vicodin like they were candy, and
and playing
NHL 10 for days straight.
Yeah.
But that was a long time ago, and that's a different story for another time. But we'll see what they do. Hopefully they can get it together and get us. Just give a little bit of a shit.
Yeah, that's all. A little bit. Not a lot, just a little.
Right. But, well, I guess onward and upward. We're kind of flying by the seat of our pants here. And, I think it's getting near time to go ahead and take care of the players of the week. We got some interesting names up on the list this week that haven't really been up there. I haven't noticed myself. As far as the forwards go, there's some new guys up there. But it looks like some of the perennial, rock solid guys had their weeks as well, and some of the goaltenders. Guess who is sitting at number one for goalies?
I went right down to goaltenders when this came out and looked, and not surprised at all, but very proud of my boy Schneider. Another fantastic week for him on the Ducks.
Yeah, he's just, I mean, can you say Vezina? I mean, I don't think there's another choice right now with the way he's playing.
And you have to give credit too. It's not just Schneider there. Look at number 4 right there, AHL All-Star, 4-0, leading to that 9-0 week for the Ducks. It's mind-blowing. You saw teams at the beginning of the season go on runs. Again, Tampa was one of them, 9-0 start. and then they end up where they're fighting for the 8th seed right now in the East. To see this deep in the year, a team like Anaheim not even falling off a little bit, they're still going 9-0 in some weeks this late in the year. That's really, really impressive to see.
It truly is. I mean, it's a testament to Polska and Karmstrong. You know, they've got it dialed in this year. You know, and that just comes to them paying attention and being good at their job for, you know, I believe this is the 3rd season they've been in Anaheim. So, you know, they've finally got their recipe right this season, and you know, it's showing. It's showing on the leaderboards. It's showing in the standings. And both of their goalies are just having outstanding seasons this season. And, you know, that also goes to show you that, you know, their back end is probably pretty damn solid as well. If both of their goalies, you know, are right up there. You know, they got 3 guys, 4 guys on the Who's Hot defensive players this week. So, you know, that right there tells you that the back end of the Anaheim Ducks is outstanding. And, you know, there's probably not many, if any, teams that rival, you know, the back half of their team.
No, I don't think so. And it shows in the standings. Again, it shows in the Who's Hot lists week after week. It shows that Anaheim's the top team, and not a surprise at all to see, 9 total players from the Ducks on this week's Who's Hot throughout offense, defense, and goalie.
For sure. It's insane. But without further ado, we'll jump right into the goalies here. You know, you got some new faces here. You got some familiar ones. Flight Airline coming in down there at number 9 with Ottawa. He put together a solid week, coming in with a 2.0 goals against, 81.8. Big Lammers is down there as well, stepping up and playing some games for Columbus. Newfie Kanata, Ethos Jinx, who's always on this list, Viper for Chicago, who's always on this list. And, you know, like we had discussed earlier, AHL All-Star 3, B Brawler for Dallas went 5-0 this week, picking up a shutout. And, you know, Bolesky for New Jersey. And then your boy Schneider, man, just killing it this week. You know, and the thing that gets me, in 5 games, you know, 50 shots.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's 10 shots a game the defense is giving up. That's outstanding.
And it's a thumbs up to the defense for playing good D. But it also helps, you know, when you're a defenseman, knowing that if you let up a shot, that you have a goaltender that is just going to save the puck no matter what, pretty much. And that's what Anaheim has. Both of their goaltenders played great this week. So that's the ultimate back end there.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be a calming thing for a defender to know that you got a goalie who's having a Vezina type season behind you. You know, you can, you know, get it in your head to where you can pressure a little bit more. You can push a little bit more. You can get right out there and force the attacking players to make decisions with the puck, you know, and that's, you know, it just allows for more free flow and free flowing defense for everybody. So, you know, that's got to be a great situation for those guys to be in. But, you know, I don't know about you, but this is kind of a tough call this week as you got Schneider, you know, sitting there with 5-0, 50 saves, you know, but I think, man, that's a tough call there. Well, who do you think? I'm kind of leaning towards Bolesky because he, you know, faced 20 more shots and did only play 1 more game. But
yeah,
you know, that's a tough call.
I think, you know, even if Schneider may have had a better week, I think he's had enough good weeks that, you know, we can let him get second this time. But I'll give it a Bielski as well. 6-0, 71 saves. That's a little over 11 shots a game or so. And the 6-0 goalies can play 6 games a week, and he made them all worth it for the Devils, who are trying to see how high up that seeding chart they can get going into the playoffs. So I'll give the nod to him.
Yeah, I'd say Bielski gets our number 1 star for goalies this week. Goose, on to you for the defenseman.
Defense this week, we have, you know, it just looking at the points to start, only 1 double-digit point, and that's your number 1 man right there, PTP on Chicago. And just skimming through, it seemed like a pretty low scoring week for defensemen. A lot of 2, 3, 4-pointers. But like we mentioned, Anaheim has 4 defensemen in there. We see a nice array of different players, a couple from Chicago and PTP, Stevie and Canuck FTC, couple Devils and Gideus and TCTC. What else? We got 2 guys in Dallas, Kills a Kill and Big T. Fu Mancheesy as well, make that 3, make it 4 Inglis. So a lot of good performances this week. Puck U on Montreal went 2-1, but put up 8 points. So a great performance by him. And then you see guys who got really rewarded for the defensive play. You look at Potsy in 9th, 3-0, only 2 points, but a +7. And, to make it that high up with only 2 points, he played some good defense and they shut down some good teams. So nod to Potsy there on a good week. But looking through here, I don't know if anyone sticks out that much to you. Reactions maybe on Boston getting 9 points in a 3-0 week. But I think solely because of that 10-point mark, I'm going to have to give my player of the week to PTP on Chicago.
Yeah, I think that's, that roundabout fits. I think LG got it right this week, and you're right. Looking at the defenders, it seemed like kind of a, I'll be speaking from personal experience. I didn't get a single goddamn point this week, which is the first week that's happened to me. But it's not about points; it's about W's, right?
Yes. Well, I would like to say I do have a gripe with LG. I believed my performance of a goal and assist and a +2 was deserving of a top 8 spot on Thursday night's best players list. And I was not awarded that top 8 spot. So I am a little salty about that. But I have improved up to number 103 out of 503 players. So I have moved up from that 488 spot, and I'm very proud of that. And the Washington Capitals team for helping me achieve such an immaculate goal.
Yeah, that's it's an interesting beast. Defense is, I'll tell you that. It's up and down. It's a pain.
It's fun. To me, I love it. I play forward in drop-ins. I play forward in club from time to time when none of the good players are on. And I like, you like to score goals, you like to make plays, but I just have so much fun playing defense because I take so much more satisfaction in a perfect breakout pass or a perfectly timed poke check or a block shot than I do, scoring a cross crease or making a one-time pass or something like that. I don't know. It's just something about defenses. When I started playing, the first time I played club in NHL 10, I was a little late to the scene. I didn't play NHL 09, but I was always left defense. I always loved playing defense. NHL 11, I played defense, and I got a lot of game misconducts because I love to be the enforcer. But by this point, still, I like to play defense, and and you can, again, I imagine you agree with most of it. It's just so rewarding to be a defenseman and have that breakout pass, have that hit, that poke check, whatever it may be. It doesn't seem like that exciting of a position, but it really is.
I'll tell you the thing that I love, and this is my nut moment of playing defense is, when you got somebody bearing down on you and it's a one-on-one and you meet them at the blue line and you let them drift into you and then boom, you pop that stick lift and you scoop the puck away and you skate off in a circle and you're out. That is the best play ever, man. It feels so good. You're just like, yep, give me that. See you later. And you just break it out. And you're up and gone. Yeah. And he thinks that he was going to walk right by you, and you just basically picked his pocket and took off with it. That's better than scoring a goal, if you ask me. It
is. That feeling, and then, I remember only because it happened last game, I just, you get a shot off the goalie, you get the rebound, he starts skating up, and you just make the perfect breakout pass. I can't remember who our right wing was. I feel bad. But he was skating up right up to center ice, and I just went cross ice right up to him, and it led to a nice 2-on-1. I don't think we scored on it, but you just get that satisfaction of the pass. It's again, I think everyone's played defense before in LG, but just love playing defense. It's a lot of fun. Plus, I got to go on a breakaway, actually. our last game against Montreal. I don't think a lot of people can say that, especially when you're and not one of the top guys. I'm sure PTP and ZD Ball and Fontanet and those guys get a couple scoring opportunities a game, but I certainly don't. So whenever I get a scoring opportunity, I try to make the most of it.
Absolutely, without a doubt. But well, I guess moving on, and we're gonna have a special guest on here with us in just a little bit, who is a fellow defender. We're just gonna chat hockey here in a little bit and where he sees his team and what he sees them doing here moving forward. But moving to the forwards. Like I said, you got some familiar faces on here. You got a new guy who's made the list, who jumped up and he's playing some games with Edmonton now. And Madden's 26. Madden's is one of those guys who's kind of, been grinding it out in LG for, 3 seasons now. And, he's finally getting his shot to get up into the NHL and play some games. And it's good to see. He went 3-0 with the Edmonton Oilers this week, playing left wing for them. Scooped up 9 points, 6 goals, was a plus 12 on the week. So it's good to see him on this list. King Clutch is on this list. My boy Chiz Nasty, Novak for Prez, Alex Drum, Bill 1492, your regulars. One name that I don't see on this list that's kind of surprising is old J Claus. So he must have taken one of the big L's this week.
No Kraz either.
Yeah, no Kraz either, as we did take a loss this week. Played like dog turds on Wednesday in our second game.
One shout out I like to give, though, to the forwards. I played with them in Rockford and Calgary. Good dude, great player. And I was hoping he would get traded to a contender because I think he could make a big impact, and that's single G6. Only a 1-0-2 this week with Calgary. Obviously, Calgary not having the best of seasons, so losses are expected at this point for them. But Single doing what he can, despite the 1-0-2, put up 15 points and a +1. So you take 2 losses out of those games, he still comes away with a +1. Pretty good week there for Single in Calgary.
For sure, without a doubt. That's got to be a tough it's just got to be a tough pill to swallow out there in Calgary. So, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But Ja Gerard's on this list this week. Reddy from LA, Crazy Lish from Minnesota, Theos. Haven't seen Theos up here quite a bit this season, but now that he's playing with Claus, he is 3-0 on the week. So I guess Claus didn't take a loss this week, so I could be wrong on that. Run Like Hell, 3-0 this week for Minnesota. That's a great job playing right wing, scooping up 6 goals, 5 assists. My boy JC Penn's 22, making the list with 16 points. Actually looks like he scored the most points out of everybody this week, but we did take that 1 overtime loss there. That's unfortunate. Carmstrong coming in with 12 points, 7 goals, 5 assists, so +10 on the week for Anaheim. Class act, a guy who's always up on this list. Only did play in 2 games this week for Chicago, scooping up 6 goals and 4 assists. Dino Mike and Busy, the dynamic duo for Dallas, coming in right at the top as in the 1 and 2 spots. Looked like Busy was only able to play 2 games this week as well, and that's unfortunate because if he would have played 3, I'm sure those guys definitely would have been 1 and 2 with the amount of points that they had. Busy had 11 points in 2 games with 6 goals, was a +13 on the week, and then Dino Mike with 15 points, 9 of them being goals, and 6 assists, +12 on the week. And my first star of the week for forwards this week's got to go to Dynamite. That's a great job. 3-0 for Dallas. He's just been knocking them down this season, picking up points like they're candy. So Dynamite's my first star, 3-0 on the week with 15 points and a +12 for the Dallas Stars. But overall, pretty good week for the scorers. Like you said, it's kind of interesting to see the defensemen. Scoring was definitely down for defensemen this week. And you know what? What do you think about this theory, Goose? Does that make you think that teams are really starting to try and lock it down defensively a little more, kind of trying to make their push to the playoffs and not take so many chances? Or you think it's just kind of a luck of the draw type thing for this week?
A little bit of both, but I think it's just, you're playing better players. Teams are really focusing on matchups right now. And I do think, honestly, a lot of the teams that are struggling are really trying to play spoiler. I know in Washington, we are certainly trying to play spoiler and beat as many playoff teams as we can. We beat the Islanders last week, and that was one we took pride in because they're a team really fighting for a playoff spot. So I think no matter who you play right now, it's going to be a tough game. And I think it's, people aren't going to cycle the puck as much because you're worried about giving up that breakaway. You're worried about giving up that odd man rush. So defensemen might touch the puck coming out of their zone on a breakout pass, but once it gets, up to the forwards, you're probably seeing more play behind the net. You're probably seeing more short passes, more cross crease attempts, more wrap attempts. So you don't really risk, again, giving up a free goal on a breakaway, trying to make a pass up to the defense. And
we got Downey jumping on with us right now to, jump into the conversation and, talk about, we were just sitting here chatting. I don't know if you heard us talking, but, we noticed that scoring was down quite a bit for defensemen this week. And, we were just chatting about it. Do you think it's more teams trying to lock it down defensively, trying to hold their spot and get into the playoffs so defenders are not taking as many chances? Or do you think it was just kind of a down week for defenders?
Are you saying just this week?
Yeah, just this week. The scoring for defenders was down a little bit.
I don't know. It could just be like teams are starting to figure out, work more together, playing better team defense. It's a great possibility.
For sure. Well, how's your season going, man?
I started off on Calgary, then went to Philly, and I haven't been on the greatest teams. They've had some really nice people, but it's been hard getting points out there.
For sure. And as a defender, it's got to be, it's got to be frustrating when, you're basically being, counted on to be the anchor, back there and basically, play every team's top line and week in and week out. As I know, that's what you and Goose were doing in Calgary for sure, as you guys were getting basically the worst matchups you could ever ask for. And, just basically doing the best you can.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Moran. Great matchup there. Well, Downey was gone at that point, but I'm still not going to let that down playing Arizona, going to -10. Thank you for that.
Wait, what? Oh, come on. I wasn't even
I'm not going to let that down. No, but Downey and I were D partners there in Calgary for a bit, and certainly enjoyed our time playing together. I don't think I learned anything from him, but he certainly learned a lot from me.
Of course,
obviously, one of the top defensemen in LG. So,
Goat Chuck, greatest of all time.
Well, Buffalo is an interesting team this year.
Buffalo, we have the players, but it's just it was too late. We just did it way too late. Everything happened way too late, especially with the whole Falk and Scrumsy thing that just screwed over Buffalo this season.
Yeah, I think that really put them behind the 8 ball to start the season off, and just kind of it just wasn't a good start for them. You guys definitely have players there now. I mean, you can definitely, without a doubt, play the role of spoiler, right? I mean, you guys can go in there and just take care of what's in front of you for the night, and really look to crush some teams' dreams, for lack of a better term.
I just always be getting spammed with people telling me come on, you got to beat this team, got to beat that team. People are counting on us to beat other teams to help them get into the playoffs. Right.
For sure, yeah, that's got to be frustrating getting those messages. People being, come on, you gotta beat them, and it's man, we'll do our best. At this point, it's not a well-oiled machine, that's for sure. But there's some talent on that team, man. I mean, Brody's an outstanding player.
When he showed up,
Ryan's a good guy. Noel's a good player.
Downey, how looking at Buffalo from the outside, obviously I haven't played for you guys, but I am friends with Ryan, the owner. So I kind of get, if he's frustrated or something, he'll air out all his grievances, or if he's excited about something he did, he'll make sure he gloats about it.
Yeah,
What do you
exactly.
think? How do you think Ryan's done as an owner for Buffalo this year?
I think Ryan has done an amazing job taking over for what the mess was already there. I think he tried his best to bring the team to as good as he could, but I think he fell a little bit short. There's some things that he could have done better, I believe.
Mhm.
Yeah,
For sure. Yeah, Ryan. Let's face it. He stepped into a landmine there. And he's. I think he's done a good job setting the team up for the future. And understanding that they most likely aren't going to make a push this year to get to the playoffs. But he brought in a lot of guys. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys currently on the roster that are returning.
well played.
Yeah, I could. No, I'm wrong on that. Make that one. One guy returning. I thought he brought in some guys. I see a lot of 2s and 3s, but only one guy with 1 season remaining. So, but I'm pretty sure he brought in tons of draft picks. So they're sitting nice going into the draft.
Yeah, a lot of people were questioning that. So some think that Ryan's not returning next season, but we don't really know yet.
Right.
I would say, just from knowing him personally, I think he enjoys what he does. He loved doing, running GM for Rochester last year. So, I mean, especially too, he's a young kid and he's got this drive to have a lot of fun. Yeah, he's got a drive to have a lot of fun and run this Buffalo team that you're playing for. And I think, you got to get that chemistry together first, especially at this point. If you can get a group of guys together that want to play together, that want to get ready for next season, that's the first step. You build on that, and next thing you know, they could be making a playoff run again. Obviously, if you're comparing it to winning the Stanley Cup like Buffalo did last year, he's going to lose that argument every time. But I think going forward, I think Ryan's done a pretty good job, the best job that he could do with what he was handed to put this team forward.
Well, looking to the start of the season, I don't think anyone's really expecting Buffalo to repeat as champs because they lost their two best D-men, Schroyer and Nees, and basically the whole roster is pretty much just different from last season.
For sure. Absolutely. Now, I think there's one small little detail that we're kind of overlooking here. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. Ryan's coming back. There's no way he's not coming back because Buffalo's his team. If I was the owner of Buffalo, I'd be happy as hell. That's my team in real life. So there ain't no way in hell I would give that team up. I'll tell you that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and say Ryan's going to come back. He's going to find a way to get it done.
Well, I believe in him.
Oh, we have confirmation from Ryan right now on Skype. He says, "I am returning, Goose." So he is returning. Ryan will be back, like we all expected. He is a dedicated boy, and he will continue to fight until Buffalo hoists that Stanley Cup again, because we know they won't do it in real life for a long time. So
we got your boy though. That's all right. We got the pride of Boston.
That's true. Old Jackie.
But I think that's a great move by Ryan. I think it's a good move. He's got his feet wet in the NHL now. He knows what to expect. He knows most of the owners moving forward. He did an outstanding job with Rochester in the AHL. And, some will say that that's a tough jump to come from the AHL to the NHL, but, managing a team is managing a team. The only difference that I really see, honestly, is that in the NHL, you don't have somebody constantly watching over you.
Right.
And you're the one calling the shots. And that's the big difference that I see. And that's the part that I love the most about being an NHL owner, is that we're the ones calling the shots. So,
and that can be both a good thing and a bad thing. But if you're confident in what you have, you're confident in the moves you can make, and you're confident in the future that you've put in your mind that your team's going to have in the next year or two, then all the power to you. You want to run the whole ship, and you want to make the decisions and try to make your team the best you can. It's going to work for some people, and it's not going to work for other people. But it's that dedication alone that can really put you in the driver's seat for success in this league. Without a doubt.
So, Downey, what do you see? What are your predictions here coming into we're coming into week 8, and with the conferences, the playoff race shaping up the way it's shaping up, you think anybody's going to make a push to get that 8th spot in the Eastern Conference, or you think that they're just going to kind of go in as is right now, because the closest team, I mean, right now is 10 points out in the Carolina Hurricanes. So,
Yeah.
what do you think is going to happen in the Eastern Conference?
I don't think anything really big is going to happen in the Eastern Conference. I think it's pretty much just going to stay the same. Nothing's looking like too outstanding to me right now, and that's just how I see it.
I tend to agree with you on that. I think, the Eastern Conference, I think those 8 teams are locked in. Now, what seed they end up in is a different story, but I think for the most part, you're looking at the 8 playoff teams in the Eastern Conference. Do you pay attention to the Western Conference at all, Downey? What do you think's going on over there with teams? You think, I mean, it's pretty close over there. What do you got going on the Western Conference? What do you think over there? Oh, did we lose him? We may have lost him.
We may have lost Downey.
Downey down.
Peace, Downey.
Downey down.
But real quick, if he comes back or not or whatnot, I do want to give I did mention Single earlier, and I went through, you mentioned your player of the week, and I wanted to see, because I thought he was up against some good teams this week, and I looked through his 1-0-2 record. I was pretty, again, I didn't see the lines he played, but he accounted for a win against Nashville and 2 overtime losses, 1 against the Blues and 1 against the Ducks, putting up 5 points in each of those games. So I think really under the radar, a great week for Single on Calgary, especially, again, another struggling team. But to take the Ducks and the Blues to overtime, put up 5 points each game, he's my player of the week for forward for sure.
Yeah, that's a hell of a job by Single. We lost you there, Downey. You're back. Did you get a phone call or something?
Yeah, I had to do something real quick.
So what are your thoughts on the Western Conference race over there? You think, have you been paying much attention to the Western Conference?
Not really, but I think my boy Loy's about to put up hella points.
Yeah.
I just feel like he hasn't been doing the greatest this season, but once he goes into playoffs, I know that he's going to just carry Anaheim. And with Font backing him up, I think they'll do great.
I don't think anybody needs to carry Anaheim. I think they carry themselves. They're such a solid team, top to bottom.
They're good up and down.
Yeah, I mean, they just have great forwards. They have great defensemen, and 2 goalies that are playing at a Vezina type level this season. Yeah,
Schneider's great.
Snyder's tearing it up, and not to be outdone. AHL. AHL All-Star is doing a hell of a job this year as well. I mean, they got 2 goaltenders that are just straight ripping it up. I mean, but Schneider, 32-3-1 on the season. I mean, come on, what the hell?
Really?
Yeah.
It's not even fair.
It's not, man.
He reminds me, when he's in net, he reminds me, I think it was maybe NHL 12. There was a glitch when you played Hut that would set your center as your second goaltender, and you would have 2 goaltenders in net at the same time. And whenever I watch Schneider play, that I remember, it happened to me. Mark Savard was one of my goalies in Hut, and I think it was NHL 12. And again, that was another thing that took probably a month to patch. Classic EA. But whenever I see Schneider play, it's almost like there's 2 goalies in net.
J Claus wants you to start roasting people, Donnie.
Who are you going for? I'm ready.
Oh, man. But, we're kind of coming up on at the top of the hour here, and, we're kind of running out of material for the night here. So, any last words, Downey? Anything you want to say? Any shout-outs you want to give to anybody?
I want to give a shout-out to Florida. I think they're going to be a powerhouse and a force to be reckoned with. I say I'm sensing that Voltep is going to put up 20 goals first round of the playoffs. I'm not sure, though. Voltep's line.
Yeah.
They're going to be a force to be reckoned with there.
I definitely agree there. I think Florida is definitely one of those teams that, they're under the radar, and they're going to catch somebody off guard in the first round, and, they're going to make it past the first round this season.
Yeah. Sure. I think Dubs is actually a big part of their, first line. So most people sleep on Dubs, but Dubs cannot be slept on.
No, he's sneaky good.
And he's a sneaky dude. Yeah, he's a sneaky dude.
Dubs contributed 1 win to the Friday Night Puck Championship I had, the first time I ever owned a team in Friday Night Puck.
Yeah, 1 win for me too.
Yeah. So Dubs is just, I guess, an overall winner. So I guess Florida has this one in the bag already.
There you go.
Well, we thank you for joining us, Downey. You know, you're welcome to jump on the show anytime you want, man. And you know, I'm glad we were finally able to get you on here just to chat a little bit and talk hockey.
That's awesome.
Well, I think that's basically going to wrap it up for us tonight, boys. You know, we don't really got too much more to talk about. So, you know, Goose, you good?
I'm good to go. I'm going to go play some COD, play some club, you know, practice and teach every other defenseman in the league why I'm just better than everyone.
That's how he does it. Goat Chef.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in, and enjoy week 8 coming up here in LG.